Hey everybody, this is Renae from The Space Between, and you are listening to The Space Between podcast, the show that lets you listen to how the fans feel about the music, the art behind over 30 years of the Dave Matthews Band. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So in 2024, we have had the Dave Matthews Band for 33 years. That's right, 33 years of our lifetime has been taken up by the Dave Matthews Band. And so each week, I bring to you a fan that has been changed, if you will, by the Dave Matthews Band sometime in that 33 years. A lot of times fans have just found the Dave Matthews Band, but then a lot of times fans found them back in 1991. So this week, of course, I bring not one, but two fans to the Space Between podcast to tell their journey with the Dave Matthews Band and how the music has made an influence in their life. So today I have Terrance and Shawn on the podcast with me. Guys, thank you so much for joining the pod. Tell me who you are, where you are, and just tell us briefly, when was the first time you ever heard of the Dave Matthews Band?
Yeah, so my name is Shawn. I'm from Virginia. We're from the Richmond area, pretty much born and raised, not really in the city, but just outside. But not too far from Charlottesville, I guess, where Dave Matthews took place, the inception, I suppose. But name is Shawn. Definitely been impacted by the Dave Matthews Band. We'll get into it, of course, as a whole. But I do have a family, I have a wife and 3 kids that keep me more than busy. They're 13, 10, and 7, so my hands are full and I'm going every which direction. So we fit music in as a whole, and they look at me like, well, you're always playing something or singing something. So I'm that dad, you know. It's want me to be quiet, but it's fun.
Yes.
But I first discovered Dave Matthews Band when I was, pretty young, I guess. This would be Under the Table and Dreamin' days. So I remember, Satellites released on the radio, and I had no idea who Dave Matthews Band was. I knew who Pearl Jam was, and I was like big into like Jeremy and Even Flow, and I was like, this must be Pearl Jam. I mean, I was young. I don't know. I didn't know who it was. But it was enamoring because it was so different and just layered, and but it kind of stuck with me, but it didn't like really resonate all the way. So I went through the next several years just like hearing things, don't drink the water, and just and it just kind of was whatever. And I was just a big 90s rock kid. But I played sports. And then I got injured and I basically couldn't play sports. So then I was like, what do I do? And all of a sudden discovered the listener supported album when that came out. So that was like 98 or something like that, 99. And it kind of just changed everything, like your life's redirected. So it was like, hey, like no sports, but holy crap, this is pretty amazing stuff. And I had tried to play music for a long time and I was absolutely terrible. It was pretty embarrassing to watch, but I was determined to like, yeah. Back then, yes, I was. But it was like, hey, this album, I got my hands on it, let's support it, and it was just kind of magical for me. So it changed us. All I wanted to do was learn how to play and kind of get it going. So that was a big moment, and it's been with me ever since. So I guess we're going on.
Yeah, so we're gonna
years.
16 years. So that's a long time for just one band in your life. So we're definitely going to dig into that a little bit more. So tell me, who else do we have on the show today? And if you're coughing still and need to take a break, we can totally edit this part out.
Oh, I thought you were asking Shawn. No,
hold on, Terrance. Let me get there's somebody else in the room with me. Hold on.
Come on.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Let me look.
Hello.
My name is Terrance Kirwan. I'm originally from Mount Vernon, New York. Fun fact, I went to the same elementary school as Denzel Washington, DMX, and P. Diddy.
Okay.
Pennington Grimes
Shout
Elementary.
out.
My family moved to Richmond, Virginia when we were. I have a twin brother, and I have three siblings, and we moved here in 2001. So, but yeah. Anyway, no, I grew up loving music. My father was a DJ, and he did a lot of jazz stuff as an actual DJ, but then he got a regular job and he moved on, and he continued doing like wedding stuff, like wedding DJ stuff. But music was always on in our house, like no matter what. Like we would wake up Saturday mornings to Elton John or to Bach or anything you can imagine. And so I fell in love with all these elements of music. And then one day he played me Take Five. You know that song?
Refresh our memory.
The jazz song by Dave Brubeck and the
Dave Brubeck. Yes. I do know I know the name, but I don't know the song.
And I was okay. So I was like, I don't know, 6 years old when I heard that. And I just told my dad, I was like, I want to play saxophone. And so they got me registered. And in New York, which I think is great, they start music like super early. I started playing sax when I was 7 years old. I'm 34 years old now. So I've been playing for a really long time because of the great music programs that New York has. And I don't know. I mean, like, it needs to continue.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Because, like, you've heard of, like, things that. Sorry if you hear a cat in the background.
No.
By the way. But, so I started hearing all this music from my dad. And he influenced me. And I fell in love with it. Like, the Beatles to Stevie Wonder to everything you could ever think of. And it wasn't just like one genre, it was everything. It was like a melting pot. And then I think, when did Everyday come out? What was that, 01?
Somewhere in that time.
01, 02, yeah. Somewhere in that range.
And the space between was like on like, I don't know what, Z100 in New York, and it's Q94 in Richmond.
Yeah.
I don't know what that version is where you live.
Oh, who knows?
It's top 40s.
Oh, like, God. Yeah,
the top 40. And the space between was like playing all the time. And I was like, all right, I'll try this band out. I'll see what it is. And then it was a saxophone in this band. And then I figured it out. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, there's a saxophone player in this thing? And then I asked for their live. Yeah, I asked for Folsom Field for Christmas. And I don't know, I just liked it. It's like they could play country, they can play jazz, they can play pop, they can do everything. And then I remember I was like 12 years old at the time, and I was like, oh, I want to quit saxophone. I'm a little band nerd. And I want to go play guitar. And then I got this album, and it was a double disc, And the first song on the second part of the disc, the only reason I listened to it first because the space between was on the second disc. And Sean's already laughing at me because he knows this story. The first song I hear is Angel. It starts out with a Leroy
Oh my
sax solo.
goodness. It was exactly what you needed to hear.
Yes, and I'm sitting there in my room. It is Christmas Day because I got it for Christmas. And I'm sitting there and I'm like hearing this solo. And Dave himself has said he hates this song. And I'm just listening to it. And I'm hearing the crowd go wild. And I'm like, he's playing this in front of like 50,000 people in a freaking like college football stadium. And all these people love it. And then I was like, all right, maybe I want quick saxophone.
Right?
And I'll keep going with it. And hey, he's my biggest hero forever.
I mean, the rest is history.
Can you see it, by the way, in your panel?
You can see. So, guys, if you are just listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can watch this on our YouTube channel, which is simply The Space Between Podcasts, and you'll be able to see everything. You can see their faces, but you can also see the amazing poster behind Terrance's head there. So listening to that is what told you, hey, no, you need to keep playing the sax, and you did, right? And kind of so that Dave Matthews Band was your inspiration, if you will, for continuing. Would you be as bold to say that?
Oh yeah. Oh, I honestly wouldn't even say Dave Matthews. I would say Laura Moore.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think that a lot of people probably share that same thing of he was their introduction to the saxophone, because I look back in the 90s. It was a heavy grunge area. There wasn't just a lot of people playing the saxophone at rock concerts. And so I feel like he was an exposure for a lot of people to an alternative sound of rock music. And so, I think a lot of people really appreciated that it was being brought into something familiar. I think their music is such a combination of so many different sounds, but I think that's what attracts people to it, right? Would you kind of agree with that their difference is what brings people to them?
Yeah. I definitely agree. We're talking like 93, 94. Mm-hmm. 94 was Under the Table, and like that's like Nirvana era. Mm-hmm. And
they were definitely not bringing a saxophone on stage, were they?
And like Nirvana, Oasis, Smashing Pumpkins, Shawn, stuff like that.
And don't make me go. 90s rock's my thing, so don't make me go off. I'll go for an hour.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. He's got like a whole playlist that he wants to like set up for our new set of 90s rock.
So how in the world do worlds collide? You're both in Virginia. You both have found the Dave Matthews Band. So how long did it take before you guys actually meet? And how did you guys meet?
Yeah. So Craigslist. This is prime Craigslist killer days. Luckily, neither one of us were a killer, because
thank God,
that always is asked every time. People are like, "Yeah, where'd you meet?" We're like, "Craigslist," and everybody's just like, "Craigslist."
What?
Unless they're like, unless they're too young, and then they're like, "I don't even know what Craigslist is."
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I had made a bunch of demos. Just songs that I wrote, just a whole bunch of stuff. And like I would program like just different instruments using the keyboard, and I programmed some saxophone on the keyboard, which it never goes well, of course, but
it didn't go well.
Keyboard is not, unless you're maybe high end. If you have high end keyboards and your immaculate playing skills, it sounds great. Otherwise, it sounds pretty bad. But whatever, it did the job. So I posted them. An ad on Craigslist, and Terrance replied. I sent him some demos. I think he heard through the keyboard sax and could see maybe there's something to it. But I mean, in the end, in the ad, he knew there was a DMB inspiration, and I think we both we knew what it could sound like. Mm-hmm. not what it did sound like, but what it could sound like. And that drew it in. But
he posted.
yeah, we actually first time we ever got.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
He posted in April of 2010, and I first replied to him, and then that's when the Craigslist killer came out.
Oh my God!
So
Yeah.
I was like a little eerie to meet him.
Yes.
And then I saw him again in October of 2010. And so then I met him, and then I told.
It's either he's not the killer, the killer, or he's just looking for somebody new.
I told my roommates, and I told my parents, I was like, I'm going to this guy's house to play music, check on me.
I mean, I wrote ignore the van and the broke down house and lock bars on the windows. I mean, it was nothing sketchy.
You're still alive, so it all worked out, right?
No, on the flip side of that whole coin of who's the Craigslist killer, the day he came over was a week before my youngest was born. My wife's she's 30 some weeks pregnant, and she's like, are you really? Somebody's coming over the house now.
Exactly.
So it worked out, it was.
No, adding on to that, I think it was great because we became great friends, obviously. He's one of my best friends, and I know his wife, and I know all his kids, and I was there the week before his first son was born, and now he's got 3 beautiful, amazing kids, and I know them all very well, and we get along. It's just like crazy.
An extended family. Yeah. So Shawn, it sounds like you were looking for someone to help you musically. So what was it that you were in the middle of, and kind of what were you looking for? What were you trying to achieve by looking for someone to come in and help?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of starting like writing wise, it's kind of the Dave Matthews Band was such a big inspiration, but the key to that was all layers. And so it's all the different elements. It's being able to musically kind of go where you want to go. You need other people that have their own influences, and that Dave Matthews Band is so special in that sense, because you have all these people that have complementary styles and things like that, but they keep bringing in something different, and that's how you end up getting something that's kind of bluegrassious of recently to something that's got that Middle Eastern last stop, stuff like that, to just all the variations, so you really can't get it out of yourself alone.
Right.
And also working with people, collaboration kind of pulls things out, and it's just exciting that way. So, I was just writing and just wanted to write a bunch of stuff and put more and more out. But you kind of hit that wall, you hit that creative wall because it's just you. And I was never a fan of it's not that I don't dislike a singer-songwriter style, but it just didn't excite me. And I wanted to take it up a notch and find people that felt the same, and people who appreciate Dave Matthews Band can appreciate kind of what it is to understand the song in a way of knowing where you fit and where you don't fit, because with their abilities, they could overpower each other and it could sound like a hot mess, but they know hey, I'm not going to play right now. I'm just going to step back. I mean, there's times where Terrance and I talk all the time when we talk about different things that Leroy would do. He could just play something so simple because he knew that simple was what that part needed,
Right. So let's talk about your beginnings before we ask Terrance his side and why he decided to join forces with you. Learning to play the guitar. How old were you, and what was your inspiration for learning the guitar?
This probably doesn't sound very Dave Matthews Band. Again, 90s kid. So 90s kid coming up with the rock.
Tools.
Tool was late in life, so it's even better. Tool, I have no issue. Tool, I'm going to see Tool in concert next Sunday, awesome. So I'm all good with Tool. That musicianship is on par. the hard rock version of Dave Matthews Band. But it's not nearly that awesome. I wish the story was that cool. I wish I was telling you I was, busting out Schism or something, or Lateralis in my spare time, but that wasn't. So like being a '90s kid, you're inspired by all the grunge, but you're also there for the new metal days, because I was a teenager during new metal. So yeah, my first guitar was to drop D and play some new metal. I was not very good, but a lot of us had the first Limp Bizkit album, and it was impressive, and it blew your mind, if you were age, and I mean, hey, it may have went off the rails as they got older, but that first album was pretty good,
Right.
So so that's what I tried to do. I did, yeah. I'm not afraid of it, It's
you shouldn't be.
We're brothers, and we're just fucking with each
other. Yeah.
So Limp Bizkit was the motivation to learn.
Like that, yeah, Limp Bizkit and Korn and Lit, but I mean things like Stone Temple Pilots, all this. I mean, it wasn't so. I mean, quite honestly, talking back now, it sounds like cheesy, but whatever. They had their place,
right?
And they had their place in rock,
exactly.
and it was cool, and that's my childhood. So I might be embarrassed of it, but that's why I wanted to play guitar. But I wasn't very good.
Tell her about
was not very good at it.
Your influence with like real hip hop, like how big you love like real hip hop.
Yes, let's talk about hip
hop. Yeah. So I was '90s rock and '90s hip hop. So I had older cousins, so they introduced me to Wu-Tang and the 36 Chambers.
Yes, exactly.
Nice and smooth.
Wow.
Dr. Dre from the Chronic days, the Doggy Style. So I mean, I kind of had all that. So much of appreciation for that. Kind of on a related note, Terrance and I are going to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Ice Cube this summer.
No way.
Going back
That's
to the
amazing.
90s rock. But,
I think anybody that lived in the 90s, most people that lived in the 90s can appreciate that.
When the tour dates came out, I saw it, and I was like, oh, they're coming to Virginia. And I was like, all right, maybe we can go do that. And then I saw the opening was Ice Cube, and I was like, all right, bro, we're going.
What a fucking combination, right?
Yeah.
Like, what in the world is happening? I love it so much. Yep. So, Terrence, tell me, what was it like? Was it Shawn's style? Was it what he was looking for? Like the music he was already playing? What was attractive about joining forces with Shawn and trying to do music together?
I remember the first time we ever played together, like it was yesterday. He played one of his originals, or I guess now it's our original because I've added music to it, right, Shawn?
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to shake his head and be like, "Here it is. Now it's my song."
He will not give it to you.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to pretend like it's frozen. Like
it's not though.
Let's skip.
It was Hands of the Sky, right? Wasn't it Hands of the Sky?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
It might have been.
I think
probably was. I mean,
like 90% sure it was one of the songs called "Hands of the Sky," which is very, very number 41 influential. So, and it was just crazy because, like, well, like we said earlier, like Craigslist killer, I'm at this random guy's house playing music, and like it's a weird vibe to begin with,
right?
And we just started playing music, and it was just like, all right, cool. And then I knew where he was going on his fret, and he knew where I was going. He would hit something, I would get it. He would hit something, I would get it. He would get something, I would get it.
Yeah.
And we got it. And we figured it out. And then, Shawn, I don't even know if I've ever told you this. His lovely wife, Melissa, like, told me a few years later that, like, when I came over and we jammed together, he, like, geeked out like a little nerd. Like, this guy's awesome. This is great. And then I was like, yes, that's what I thought too. I thought it was fucking awesome. Like, we just, because of his style of songwriting, which is so much like D&B, my knowledge of D&B, loving Leroy, it just, like, I knew where he was going before he was going there. And it just fit. And so we have always gotten along for what? It's 2014. Now it's 14 years I've known your pale ass.
Going on there.
So let's fast forward time a little bit. So you've decided, yes, this is going to work. So what are the next steps, and like, how long does it take you guys to, because you guys are writing your own music, you're playing your own music. So what does that process look like when you've got two new people together and you're like, okay, we're going to make this work. We're going to go and we're going to play in front of people. We're going to present our own music. What does that process look like? And how long have you guys been playing together? And tell me some highlights inside of that. Like, when did you know, okay, yeah, I'm so glad that I got with you. Like, this is all sounding exactly the way I wanted it to. Let's kind of walk through the 13 years.
Yeah, I mean, so after that, we had to figure out how to get other band members, obviously. So we still did Craigslist on that. And then that was better, though, because now it's not just one of us. And now if it is the killer, it's two of us at least we can take them on. You know,
right.
that was the thought. Hey, it's 2-on-1 now. But yeah, we had to try to find at least drums and bass. And once we got that going, normally, quite honestly, it's been, like he said, from day one, we just kind of know it's him and I pretty much effortless since the beginning. The difficulty was finding people that could also get it.
Sure.
But I think we did okay. I think about maybe 6 months later, we got to do an open mic somewhere. But it was quite honestly, it was a lot of fun in that sense, kind of working that in. I think we did for a couple of years here or there. It was tricky because the scene in Richmond was very metal heavy. If you weren't like a metal artist, then you were like doing but so much down there. And a lot of people were kind of going out of town to do it, but kind of got a chance to kind of get things moving. But then it was just the instability of band members. It's just really hard to keep people together. And it was, especially if you can't practice consistently, it's hard to get out. Yeah. Luckily we could ad-lib a little dive and do different things. So we got to do a decent number of stuff, some things downtown, some things for some of the surrounding counties for different events they were having, and all that. But in the end, it was just kind of the instability kind of kept us from keeping things moving quickly.
There's something I want to interrupt you about earlier. Oh, how hard it is to get. It's the two of us always, but like 4 musicians on the same schedule. And like how hard it is to get practice and rehearsing, like stuff like that. And that was a real problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a labor of love. You don't get paid
Right.
a bunch of money to do stuff at this kind of introductory level. So it's very difficult. Everybody's got jobs, has to support themselves or and or family. So,
Right.
and when you're doing covers, you don't need to practice as much per se because you have a recipe to follow.
Right.
But we were pretty intent on doing originals, and I mean, we had good luck with it. Even when we would play places, we would always do like make a point when I typically would make the set list. We always had a lot of times. I mean, 70% originals, 30% covers, and it was always accepted by places, regardless of what they were thinking. They thought we were getting covers or not. So it worked well, but it just you need a lot of practice time to get that. And I think what was also tricky is, in my head, which is for better or for worse, I'm hearing some elaborate Dave Matthews Band type stuff, and the expectations are really high. So
Sure.
you're putting so much time in it, but if you can't do it frequently, it really is an anchor on your foot. And we just didn't want to do a bunch of covers all day.
That's the other thing I love about it is like, you can have like a soul band, like Earth, Wind and Fire and like Kool and the Gang. It all sounds the same. And like there's a genre of that, and there's classic rock, and there's like the blues. And what I loved about our collaboration always is that like there's no genre for the Dave Matthews Band. And there's not another band out there playing music like the Dave Matthews Band. No? Like you can say like maybe like Dead and Company now, or I guess they're not Dead and Company now because they're moved on, but like not Fish, but it's just like it's not the same. So that's what I've always loved about working with Shawn, is that it just works out that way.
Yeah. So let's move into, so we've decided, we don't want to do covers. We really kind of want to go into our own and make our own way. So what does that process look like? How do you start to write your own songs and write your own music? Like, who was the mastermind, or does it take both of you, or does it take more than just you two to do that?
It takes Shawn sending me an email being like, hey, I got a new song. And I'm just like, all right.
So Shawn is the mastermind, is what you're saying.
Yes, he is.
You are the writer. You are writing the music.
Yes. Of course he is. Yes.
Yeah. So that's just me having fun as much as possible. And I think for me, and I think this is probably, aside from just the sheer awesomeness of what the Dave Matthews Band brings, but I think I maybe connected to Dave most because if you ever listen to like the old demos that they kind of leaked out where he was recruiting people, and you're like, this guy can't sing or play for anything. Like this guy's it's all, but it's special anyway. You're like, I don't know why I like this,
right?
Because it sounds so bad, but there's some kind of like
there's magic in it.
Yeah, there was something about like what he was doing, and it was, I think to me it was that feel that of what that kind of specialty or a special emotion that was there, or it's like I think he's embraced it now to the point where he's obviously doing like vocal lessons, but it's that sheer like on stage, like people know like he's not singing. There's like a super like a top level singer would sing it, but he's singing it like as this guy that's just full of this special thing, and everybody loves it as a result. I think that's why I connected. So it was something where I was like, wow, this guitar is crazy. Like you don't have to sing, like you were selected to do just singing. You don't have to be Frank Sinatra. You can just be yourself and just put your personality and emotion into the song, put it into the way you sing, the way you phrase words. And so I just would I was just thriving off that. So I was just writing as much as possible. I mean, it was a huge inspiration in that sense. And I felt like with a lot of other stuff, everything had to be really formulaic, but I felt with the Dave Matthews Band, you could kind of write in weird ways. I mean, just the way he always, the way he's pieced music together, it's just, it's weird at times, like it's to go into like, if you look at Rapunzel and you're just like, why are you doing these really random timings? And then why did you decide to do half of the, half of one section, and then the next time you started it but skipped it, you're like, this makes no sense. And it was just the freedom to explore and just really kind of put your personality into it. So that, I think that's what drew me to it. I just kept noodling and noodling. And then it showed Terrance stuff, and then he would put some sax on it, and then the sax is where like the emotion kind of came in, and you're just like, well, oh wow, like I wasn't sure that's where it was going to go, but like now it makes sense. Like I wrote one song I thought was kind of bluegrassy, and then he put on a Middle Eastern soprano sax line, and I'm like, I wasn't seeing that coming, but that reshaped the entire thing, and that's awesome. So start with me for sure, but it's a double impact team effort for sure, because once the sax is on there, the sax kind of sings you into a mood, and you're like, oh, I know what this song feels like, and then you start working on words, and just kind of feed off each other, and keep pushing it from there. So
what do you think was the hardest part of writing a song? Do you think it was coming up with the notes, the music part, or do you think it was coming up with lyrics to match that music?
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcasts.
I think that depends on like when I'm trying to write the song. I feel like everybody goes through like a writer's block and stuff like that.
Sure.
But then also, yeah. But I think for me, the hardest thing was quite honestly, loving the music I love so much, to making sure when you're writing it that you're writing something that was yours and not like a copy of it or just like a cheap imitation. So I feel like that was the hardest, quite honestly, because I mean, I learned to play guitar, like truly learned, like back there I was talking about the new metal stuff. That was just me being terrible. But to sit down and really put in the effort and be like, I'm going to really learn how to do this. And the first song I ever learned to play was Trippin' Billies. I bought, back when you couldn't find everything on the internet, I bought the tab book for Live at Luther College. Yeah. Live at Luther College tab book. And I like learned that. So like, so that's what got me started. But when that's like your inspiration, and that's the music you love, the hardest part is not sounding like a cheap imitation. So I think coming up with riffs and coming up with lyrics, that wasn't the hardest part by any stretch. It was just like, okay, this is too much like Dave Matthews. And I didn't mind people saying, you guys have the Dave Matthews thing. And of course now we embrace it, because I mean, what are we trying to prove? I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. Like I'm just having fun, and I'm putting my stuff out there, and we're playing and we're enjoying it, and for the people that receive it and all that. And we just kind of push that way through and draw the inspiration and let it be what it is. But
so as you're looking for people to help you kind of bring this all together, and you're looking for some resources, maybe some people that have been in the music industry for a while, I want to talk about a man that, of course, when you told me that you worked with him, the name automatically stuck out to me only because I'm a nerd. And I don't expect that everybody that listens to this is a complete nerd. So let's do a little history lesson before we talk about this next person, Butch Taylor. Let's talk about who he is. Can you give us a little bit of history on who this man is?
Huh, nerd.
I know, I'm totally a nerd. I'm proud of it, though.
Well, if you want the full story, I actually, when I was playing alto saxophone in middle school, the first lead tenor saxophone player was his son.
Wow.
And we were friendly. We weren't like best friends, We didn't have sleepovers or anything. But we always were kind and cordial to each other. He was a great kid. And he had siblings all the ages of my brothers. And so we used to see Butch Taylor out of the ball field all the time. And I remember it was probably when was Central Park concert? Was that 03? That was the one that really got me into it. And I went to go to my little brother's game because Butch's son had a game and they were playing each other. And I was going, I was like an angry little teenager. I was like, I don't want to get to this game. And I'm walking there and we get to the seats and freaking Butch Taylor is right next to me. And I'm just like, and I'm telling my dad, and he's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, that's Butch Taylor. He's like,
are you the only high schooler, or what grade are you in at this point?
Probably my freshman year of college.
Okay. So you're the only freshman geeking out about Butch Taylor at the time. Did other people, were they paying attention, or were you the only one that was
I was
he was on your radar?
I mean, good for Butch. He just can go relax and watch his kids' game.
Sure.
And
sure.
have no problem. And I was freaking out. And I didn't bother him. I didn't say anything. And then, Shawn, how the hell it's Ravenworth Studio, right?
Yeah, so
how the hell did that come up? I don't even remember.
So I guess as the snippet, so we didn't quite hit on it, I guess, in the intro there, but so Butch, for anybody listening who's not aware, was the keyboard piano player. Unofficially official for about a decade.
Well, if anyone's listening to this podcast, they know
98 to 08, they're probably it, but yeah. He would hope, but he left his mark for sure on the band. So I mean, he appeared on Before This Crowded Streets, which is obviously one of the most beloved albums that they've ever released, if not the most for many people. So he was on that. He was on just a bunch of live albums, of course. But yeah, so that's who Butch was. So how we kind of came into it. So I my wife's brother played music. And I'm not sure how he came across, but he come across a studio in Scottsville, which is here in Virginia, but it's just a little south of Charlottesville. And he was just like, hey, he knew how big of a fan of Dave Matthews Band I was. He was like, kind of interesting fact about this place, that Butch Taylor does the engineering. We're like, you gotta be kidding me. And it was just like, wow, okay, this is a big deal to us, somebody, just to kind of talk to somebody like that is pretty sweet. Right. As a whole, spend some time and ask questions as much as he's willing to talk. But it's also somebody that gets what you're trying to do, because he played in it. So it's okay, anybody's going to understand what we want to do, what we want to try to do. It's probably this guy. So talk about a double win.
Yeah, and he actually cared. There's engineers that were just I just want to get my day over with, all right, play this. But he actually cared and listened to everything and gave us advice and maybe do this that way, or maybe do this way. And he actually cared. So that was really special.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cool. No, it was definitely cool. It's just it was one of those things where you just wish you had more money to spend more time, because obviously
Right.
it's a business, so you're just there to kind of get in and get out, as you don't have endless supply.
Yeah.
It was
Especially
a
when you're just you're doing it out of a love, but out of love for music, and you don't have somebody backing you with a bunch of money, but
Right.
it was cool because I mean it was a 2-day thing, and it was with an overnight, and he spent the night at the place up, like everybody was there, like
Wow.
kind of in it, so you that way you could just kind of have time, like he wasn't
Yeah.
like, all right, you're in here at this time and you're out at this time. It was
Right.
kind of like, hey, this is what we're gonna stick together and just put something in, and um
no, it
so that
was
was cool just to kind of experience that. And
yeah, like
was that
no, like they like hooked us up in the house and like we slept in the
yeah, made us
house
dinner.
and
It was a really
then
cool place.
they
Yeah.
Yeah.
like we'd be jamming for a few hours and like recording and then they'd be like dinner is ready and then we'd go up and we'd be like this
Dang.
full spread and like it was
Yeah.
great and then like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
sitting at
was
the
so
kitchen
great.
table with
Damn,
with everybody, with Butch, it's just sitting there having a meal at the table. Like it's
It's
just like, all right, cool,
amazing. It's
being able
amazing.
to ask questions, and
yeah,
try to be respectful so you don't sound crazy, but he obviously, the band as a whole, always had such high thoughts of Leroy, and this was post Leroy's passing. But it's just cool to be able to ask somebody that experienced it, because
Yeah.
the rest of us watched it from afar,
For
but he
sure.
could just kind of tell you how cool Leroy was. Really, I mean, I guess that's
Wow.
everybody's kind of story. It's just that he was just the cool guy, just a really
Right.
cool dude, but just so smart when it came to music, and just kind of sit back and just say, like, just hit it right on the nose with whatever he heard it and just put it out. So just that was cool, just to be able to eat dinner with that, with Butch, and have those kind of just general
yeah.
conversations. To after the night was over, they had like a patio out there, so everybody just kind of sat out there and hung out for an hour or so before you finally decided to get some sleep.
No,
I mean, that was probably.
we watched Night of the Roxbury on
Oh,
Netflix.
you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely cool. I mean, quite honestly, kind of looking back, like that's cooler. That whole the experience was cooler than the result of the
Wow.
getting the. I mean, I love the fact that we got the music, but I
Sure.
mean, like, doing it that way was cool.
Yeah.
It'd always be special in that sense, um, because we had the experience together, but then of course in that environment, and it made it special.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that story he told us about Eminem?
If you say it, it'll probably occur to me, but I'm
Is this a
getting
story
older,
that
slowly
no one's
losing.
ever heard before?
Yes.
Tell me. Hey, let's do it right here on the space between.
He was so Eminem, I don't know where Eminem was playing, but this was like DMB Giant Stadium days.
Okay.
So they're staying at the Plaza Hotel in New York, right from Central Park.
Yeah.
And Butch Taylor said he got into the elevator and Eminem and his entourage walk over. And Butch Taylor had like bigger hair back then. And Eminem looks at him and goes, "Yo, what the fuck is up with your hair?"
What? Wow.
And Butch told us, he was like, I like him. I thought he was really good, and I was going to tell him that he's really good, but you just dissed me, so I'm not going to tell you. And he was just like,
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But maybe he meant it was good hair, but probably not with the what the fuck.
Yeah.
What's up with your hair, man? But how cool is that to be surrounded by so many? If I saw Eminem in a hallway, I would probably say the same thing, but to him, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, what the fuck? I love you. You're a genius, but what the fuck?
Oh, so you are an Eminem fan too?
I respect his music. I respect what he's been able to do. He's made people look at, his craft a little differently. Yeah, I mean, he's not someone that I'm like listening to every day, but I mean, I am a 44-year-old lady. So just that alone tells you that Eminem has played a huge role in my life because of when I grew up. Right. So yeah. I mean, I feel like he's part of our youth. I mean, he was part of my youth. And whatever that movie was, what was the name of the movie that
8 Mile? Come on.
8 Mile. Okay, it's a wild movie, but also I feel like it did, if it's true, I feel like it did a really good job of kind of telling us how hard it was for him to make it to where he is today. So I love an origin story. I don't know if all that is true, but I love a good origin story. So, all right. So what an amazing opportunity to get to work for Butch Taylor. And so that experience with him, where do you think that led you, and how do you think that helped you bring you guys to where you are today? And let's talk about where you guys are today. What are you touring? Are you playing music still? Let's talk about that. So start with what did Butch give you guys that you really kind of were after while working with him?
Can I go first, Shawn? Do you mind?
Yeah, man, totally. Yeah.
I always knew I was a solid saxophone player. But he gave me a lot of confidence in my background vocals, harmony vocals. And I just remember, like, when we're in the studio together, Shawn, I think, it was Everyday Feels. I did the background for that, and it was like a really high falsetto. And
lay it on me as well.
Yeah, and I think sing a song too, right?
Probably.
Let's just talk about all these songs that all the people don't know about.
Open the door. Yeah.
Well, by the way, you can listen to this EP on Bandcamp under the name River City Rising. This is my... I don't know what I'm saying. No, I did the falsettos for a song that we have called... no, I can't remember. But, what's the name? Shawn, what's the name?
So Everyday Feels.
Everyday Feels, thank you. I did the falsettos, and it's like way up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it, and I got out of it, like, because you're like in a closed door, like in a room,
right?
And I left the room, and then Bush looked at me, and he just pointed at me, and he goes, "That's how it's done." And I was just like, He was the kindest man. He was so sweet, and like he knew we were like geeking out that we're like with him. Well, me and Shawn.
Did that come up? Did you tell him? Like, did he know that you were fans of the Dave Matthews Band? Like, did that ever?
Yeah,
I don't know. Did we?
My lesson play one Grux, so it was pretty obvious when he pulled up. So
okay.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of aware. The woman that was the co-owner of the studio was like, Butch, and played out, and he was just like, because Grux was the Leroy thing, and he was just like,
right.
Oh man, like so he knew what he was in for when he saw.
Okay. So, Shawn, what do you think that working with Butch Taylor was able to do for you? Whether, it could have been confidence like Terrance. What were some things that he was able to kind of speak into you that you can take away from that?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I think maybe what I kind of took from it was less musically, but kind of more just at a personal level, because somebody like him, just he's so good at what he does, and to be a part of something like the Dave Matthews Band is kind of like mind-boggling to somebody like myself. So it's like, wow, okay, this guy could have been, a complete snob, or just, hey, all right, you young fans, like, let's just get this
Right.
done. But he's just nice. So I mean, for me, it was, quite honestly, it was just kind of about the personal side of things, where, just an example of somebody that can be awesome, but they don't have to be a jerk. They can just be
Exactly right.
a nice person that just is in it for the seemingly the right reasons. And I'm sure he knew he was making our day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he gave it to us. He was making an experience for us. So
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the biggest thing for me. It was just kind of a little more on some personal level.
Yeah.
I think what's kind of interesting for us is that, like, we were going to take that EP and be like, all right, let's push this to go play everywhere. And then the band instability stepped in. I think we got one show in, and then like it all kind of fell apart musically, like with having
Yeah, they
bandmates,
like
and then it was
sold
just
out
like,
that show, and then everyone left.
Oh
yeah,
no.
yeah, just unexpected. And you're like, okay, I guess.
Sure.
I guess you take a step forward and you just stepped right into a pothole, and
Right.
broke your ankle on that one. So it never really got to go. It was crazy because it was just like some like build up steam, and then it was just like pull the rug.
Yeah.
But I think,
A lot of things.
kind of looking back, yeah, but it was kind of relatively a blessing in overall, because I mean, in the end, the odds of people making it, the odds of being the next Dave Matthews Band, what are those odds? It's so rare,
Right.
but I think kind of everything kind of just plays its piece. I'm definitely like, my mentality is always things happen the way they're meant to happen, and sometimes you can't, you can't just try to control everything, and it's supposed to be this way, because it kind of put everything in place and kind of set things in motion to, like, where that kind of fell apart. It gave me more time to kind of do more family stuff for a minute. Terrance being so good at saxophone, it's one of those things where it's like, man, like, maybe take a shot, and that's where the Austin thing kind of comes in play. And I was like, go, try something out, because maybe that's the way it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and what's meant to be will be. And that's one of the silver linings of COVID, if there ever was such a thing as a silver lining of COVID.
There's a lot of
I
them.
mean, it kind of brought us, it brought it back. I mean, there was a good chunk of time where we weren't playing together,
Right.
because he was there and I was back here, and it was fine, but he was doing his thing, experiencing life down there, and I was trying to figure out what it was going to be the next thing for me musically, and learning how to see, like, how can we put stuff together that's that doesn't depend on having 5-6 people, and that led me to the use of looping and keyboards and adding these different things and making custom tracks for us. And that's actually where we are now. So heck, we knew that, hey, we get it. He hit it. It's never a question. We can always play. But it's just so hard to maintain a whole band. So now it's the two of us, and I use this. I use technology. I guess that's the part of COVID. I guess that everybody started using technology way more. Like all the Zooms and the team meetings and all that stuff, and they kind of pushed us to say, all right, well, how can we digitally adjust? So now, I mean,
wait a second, Sean.
Yeah.
You said I'm good at saxophone?
In the,
oh, you
a
finally
little bit,
What?
a little bit.
What? He's
Yeah.
good at the saxophone?
But
This
no,
is
I
the
always
first
tell
I've heard of
people.
that.
I always tell people. Yeah, I always tell people that he's kind of like the secret weapon, because especially in our area, nobody plays saxophone, so it's like, it works out pretty good. I've been pretty lucky that the guy that plays with me plays saxophone, because
Yeah.
not many people do. and it's such a secret weapon. So especially to have somebody that's good at it.
Exactly.
A couple of people got together with me before Terrance ever came over in 2010, and it was bad. So it's been special to have somebody that plays so good. Honestly.
See, Terrance, you can use this for the future. Anytime you're feeling bad, you can just pull this out and be like, he said I'm good at the saxophone. You've got this forever now. So, guys, let's talk about what your band looks like now from 2023 going into 2024. So, of course, I looked at your social media, Facebook, and I saw that in 2023, you guys were really playing a lot of gigs. So let's talk about, what did 2023 look like? Did you stay busy? Were you able to find a lot of places and were people receptive? And then are you guys planning on doing that in 2024 as well?
Yeah, for sure. It started 23, pretty decent. I think everybody was tired of being shut in. So, so everybody's ready to do something. And so we kind of reoriented and just kind of focused on kind of people events. Everybody goes to vineyards and breweries and things like that. And that's pretty much what we focused on. And just kind of making relationships with people that run these places. And they just kept churning other opportunities. Somebody would hear us at a vineyard and then be like, hey, will you do a private party? And so we'd be kind of doing it that way. Kind of just organically, not too crazy, trying to maintain, a life at the same time without totally derailing it. Full-time job and 3 kids, so it's not like I can get up and go like travel the coast for 2 months or something.
Right.
But I mean, it gives us good avenues. Meet a lot of good people. And so, I mean, that's really been kind of the main focus. Look to do it again in 24. Stay connected to a lot of these. I mean, a lot of these places, I think what's nice about them is in Virginia, especially, that people coming up with their own vineyards and breweries huge. I mean, we have one vineyard that's close to us, and they're such nice people, but they literally did it in their backyard, basically. And then like the husband was able, it started to make momentum. He quit, like he was able to quit his regular job and just focus on the vineyard. And then, and to be a part of it with people like that is cool because, they are part of our local community. They are doing something that brings in other people from the community. And it's just cool to be kind of in that. And they do all sorts of events, and it's real cool. And I mean, I'll shout them out, I guess, for sure. They've been good to us, and but they're the Spring Run Vineyards. So if you're in local Virginia, in Central Virginia area, Chesterfield, Richmond, you check them out. They're good people, and they just we like to be a part of that. Partner with people like that. Crazy Rooster, Terrance mentioned, fantastic people out that way, and it's just, I think that's kind of going back to, even related to the Butch thing, like he's in the area, just kind of giving back to the people in the area that want to record, and it's just kind of cool, like, to kind of stay in the mix that way and partner with these vineyards, these breweries, and we'll just kind of keep doing it again. And we still write and do our original stuff there, and get to be, we get to play our stuff. We get to play Dave Matthews. We get to play the Grateful Dead, just stuff that has just fun stuff for us. So we love to do that, love to mix it up. You meet a lot of nice people that way. And it's just, again, it's just the community base, just kind of being a part of that local business and watching these, it's fun for me to watch some of these places. Like, you can see each year a lot of them getting bigger and bigger. And I think that's cool to watch.
It is.
As their business grows, and just to kind of be a part of it. It's just, I mean, I like watching people succeed. So
I do too. I mean, ultimately, that's like their dream coming true. And I can't think of anything better than watching people's, like, especially dreams that they've worked so hard for and poured time and money and resources into. And so when you see those people succeed in something that they love, no matter what it is, whether it's a vineyard, whether it's music, whatever, if you're the Avon lady, I'm thrilled for you if you do good because you worked hard, right? Like, so it's just good to see people do well.